Stop talking, Exotal.
You shut the fuck.
Yep, that's the intro. Awesome. I mean, we all got brought together through Riders, I'd say. We all became friends through Riders, and we decided now was the best time to do it because February 21st, 2006, Riders was brought out in North America on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Nintendo GameCube. So in a couple weeks,
and later being ported to the PC that year.
In a couple weeks, it will be 15 years of Sonic Riders, which is fucking crazy to think.
That is actually crazy.
Sonic Riders, it exists, I guess. What is that game? Who made it? Why did...
It certainly happened, didn't it?
It's pretty interesting.
It's kind of dumb how it's not interesting at all, actually, because basically some people pitched the idea to Sega. Right? It was like Sonic, Tony Hawk, skateboards, Hedgehogs on skateboards
with the New York accent specifically.
Yeah, and then Sega was like, okay, we'll come back to you on it. It's fine. It's a great idea. We love it. And then later on, they just don't call them back and they make Sonic Riders.
Riders. Throughout 2006, the game sold 930,000 copies. Now, judging 2006 when Sonic was big, quote unquote, I'm not sure if that counts as a success or not. It nearly sold 1 million.
It's like, well,
it depends. How much did Sonic 06 sell?
Yeah, you also have to take into account maybe people were saving up for Sonic 06.
And it's also arguable that Sonic's reputation was kind of starting to shake at this point.
I mean, if we look at Riders as a whole, actually no, we can't look at Riders as a whole because then you have to mark it down points for free Riders even existing. But if we look at Riders as Riders and ZG, it's not bad. It's not terrible.
It is bad. It is terrible.
Really?
The game,
painfully mediocre, I'd say.
It's slower than that one snail in Monsters University.
I'd say the only times the games felt bad was when you got so good that the AI, that you're pretty much just halfway across the course of the AI. It just becomes so easy with the computer AI that it gets kind of boring.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with that. 100%.
They should have introduced different levels of AI, I guess, like hard AI, like expert AI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've seen others complain that the tutorial is, especially for the first game, wasn't exactly the greatest.
Yeah,
in
it's not.
certain aspects,
True.
For example, the tutorial video being in the options menu for some reason. But I don't consider that necessarily its biggest flaw because eventually you are going to get good at the game, and once you do, it becomes kind of boring.
That was like one of their criticisms for the reviewers back in the day, and that's why the ZG was the way it was, so simplistic, because they were just responding to the criticism that was so complex.
It was too many mechanics, too complicated, too hard to understand, too fast.
But I feel like if they just did the tutorial right and explained everything well, it would have been fine in my opinion if they just did that.
I mean, I remember watching like a 30-minute video essay, I think, on Riders back when I first got into it. It was like Riders 1 has such a high skill floor and they don't attempt to teach you it. Zero Gravity has such a low skill floor and they teach you everything. And it's like, they have all the different gears and all the different gears do different things in Zero Gravity in the same way as Riders 1, but at the same time, the core mechanics are so easy to get to grips with because, I mean, 1, it was on the Wii, so it had to be easy.
The funny thing is like, the criticism they gave the first game was like, oh, it's too hard, and then the CG, it's too easy.
Exactly.
It was really funny.
I'm sorry, ZG was not too easy. I remember struggling so hard in Tempest Waterway as Storm, and it was like, hey, beat it in under this amount of time. I just couldn't. It was so hard.
It's just that Nate Evan was like looking stuff up, like criticism and stuff, like from the reviewers, and that's what always came up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've seen. I've seen that a lot. People just saying that it's just too fucking easy. Even if someone were to play vanilla Riders, which is what we call it, Sonic Riders, the way it was released to the public, and like try and learn all the gears, what's the point? There was no real multiplayer stuff in it to actually warrant getting used to all the gears, and most of the time Supersonic was the best gear in most of the games, most of the courses anyway.
It also didn't help that there were those 2 unlockable robots that you had to play like 50 hours
Bro,
for some reason.
Oh yeah.
No.
The only way,
remember that.
way you're gonna get that 50 hours if you're a kid with all the time in the world, or you just speedrun the game, which is what a lot of people did.
Yeah, I'd say the ideas were really good, but the execution was poor at best. But paired with Unleashed, it's the Sonic game that I have the most happy memories playing. Like I remember when it first got announced, and I used to just stick on the Sega website hours on end just watching the gameplay trailers and looking at all the photos and being like, this looks fucking incredible. And the day I got it, I was so happy, and I set on my PS2 like immediately and played it. I was around my dad's house and I was like, no, I'm playing Sonic Riders, lads. Fuck your Easter egg hunt, I'm playing Sonic Riders. I'm grateful that it exists. I mean, at the end of the day, if it didn't exist, I wouldn't have met you lot. So I mean,
That's true.
it's weird
I
how
feel the exact same way.
Yeah,
Because back in the day when I was a little kid, I was like renting the game like every week to get to unlock these characters. Like, I was just that obsessed with the game.
I never played ZG as a kid. I only played the original Riders, and I didn't even play the original Riders that much. I only played it like a couple of times on those like, multi-type CDs that had like many different games on it, right? I just played a little bit of Sonic Riders, and then like randomly in the middle of 2015 or something, I was like, yo, this game exists? Oh, I remember this game. And then I'm like, yo, this is fire, dude.
I remember when I first got Zero Gravity as well, because obviously I love Sonic Riders, and then that got announced, and I was even more excited for that, because I was like, oh my god, now you get to go upside down, and you get to go on the sides, it's gonna be fucking crazy. And then Marikai came along and did it better. So I got my PS2 copy, and then came home, stuck it in my PS2, and then I got the PlayStation 2 disc error screen, and I remember being shocked, and also being like, this isn't supposed to happen. This is a factory sealed copy. Why is this happening? I just remember like going to my mum and being like, what's going on? I got it and I played it, and I was just like, yeah, it's good, but I prefer the first one. Like I have never gone back and replayed Zero Gravity on my PS2, but I've played Riders through on my PS2 very recently. I don't know, there's something about the first, there's a charm to the first one that keeps me coming back, even though the music's objectively better on the second one, but we're not going to talk about that.
I do like that every time you perform a gravity action, the music shifts.
Yeah, that is fucking cool.
Oh yeah, that is
that was
really
a nice concept.
That is really good.
It really makes you feel like something ridiculous is happening. It's like, what? A very happy 15 years to Sonic Riders. Thank you for being...
Sonic Spinball.
Well, there's one more that we haven't talked about.
Oh,
And that's the Forbidden Sonic game, Free Riders.
that's
talk
your
about it, did
gimmick.
we?
Free Riders as a
Ultimate
concept
Controls.
is so cool. I love the gear designs. I love the switch mechanic. I love the fact Metal Sonic's in there, and fuck, I love the fact that High Boost is in the game as well. Auto Slider is a bike, and they made it a bicycle. Fuck,
Auto. I hate that biker.
it has pedals. They ruined such a cool looking gear.
The biggest mechanic that I like in Freeride is where you could just customize your gear, like choosing your gear parts.
True.
Yeah,
Before
I
each
don't-
race, you have for board gears, you have 2 gear parts that you can equip. That's pretty much the sole unique mechanic of the game outside of the Kinect controls.
but that's
the
also
light button, ZG.
that's also that like kills the meta kinda, because you just pick like one good gear that has good base stats, and that's the only one you play with like all the other gear parts.
Yeah,
Another
it's a cool
feature
mechanic.
you'd probably like to see return from Free Riders is actually the online multiplayer.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course.
Or at least the online multiplayer feature in of itself.
I remember the first announcement for Free Riders, and I knew it was Kinect, and I still
How
thought
do
it
you
was
know
really...
it's Kinect?
Because the announcement trailer showed people jumping.
Yeah,
Because it was whole shtick, wasn't it? That it was a Kinect, so they had to sell that.
I thought it was more. I thought it was more of an instinct sort of thing. Like, I have a feeling it's going to be a Kinect
Yeah, I have a
game.
feeling it's going to be a Kinect exclusive game on the Xbox 360. I was still sold on it. I was really looking forward to it, because obviously I was dumb. I didn't know how
Same.
bad Kinect was going to be. And so I was really excited to like, I'm actually going to be there. I'm going to be doing it. And then I got to try out Kinect with Kinect Adventures, which was essentially their Wii Sports, what they shipped with it. And Kinect Adventures was fun, but it showed off that Kinect didn't work, really. Not in the way that it needed to work for it to work with Free Riders. And then when I eventually got Free Riders, I was bored. I just thought this is just boring because, as usual with a Sonic game, what's good about it? Okay, the boards are good, the riders, not the visuals are good. Sorry, everything else, in my opinion, is dull and boring. Even the music, even the courses, the
level, yeah.
Is if Connect worked, it would be good. But Connect doesn't work, so it's not great.
A game that an aspect that surprised me was actually the Metal City stages returning. Well, the Metal City stage itself with an expert variant.
It's
I
so
wasn't
cool.
expecting that because they fundamentally just HD remastered the first stage, and it was a pretty neat thing actually.
It does look fucking
because
cool.
I was not expecting that.
Crazy to think how different the reception of that game would have been if there was controller support. If it was a regular game and it had Kinect compatibility, it probably would have got mixed reviews because it was a Riders game, and I think every entry in them did get mixed reviews. But we wouldn't be sat here talking about it as much as we are now if it had controller support. We never would.
True.
Because it would have just been another Riders game. We would probably have a lot more critically to say about it, but the reason why we don't is because for the majority of it, it's not unplayable, but as close to unplayable as it can get.
For what it's worth, once you know what you are doing with the game, you actually can have... It can actually be a decent exercise if you want to take anything away from it.
Oh yeah, of course.
And of course, it has some bangers too.
Doubt. One of my least favorite OSTs, but of course I can respect your opinion. I just don't.
Some bangers, not all of them.
True. I just don't like Free.
Oh
Free
yeah,
sucks.
bro. I agree.
Hey!
Not even the Crush 40 version can save Free, and if Crush 40 can't save it, it can't be saved. For real.
It's fucked. Yeah.
And I loved Sonic music as a kid. Like it was as with most people, it was one of my favorite things about it. But when Free was brought out before the game was released, I think it was the first Sonic track I listened to, and I was like, you know what? I don't fuck with this. Sonic Free Riders, lads. That happened, didn't it?
That was
weird. What a weird situation that happened in our lives.
Yeah. It's not by any means the worst thing I've ever played, but I don't know if adding controller support to it as is would help it necessarily mostly because in my mind, the level design, it's a lot more straightforward. It doesn't have as many curves and twists and would be kind of dull in the setting with a controller.
I've always been with the mindset that you give Free Riders controller support, that doesn't make it any better. It makes it playable, doesn't make it any better, because I think Free Riders is just the most boring Riders game.